2025, life moves at a speed that almost feels unbearable. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with noise, notifications lighting up our phones, emails waiting before the first sip of coffee, and an endless feed of videos, stories, and headlines demanding our attention. People rush through their mornings, half listening to loved ones, already stressed about the next task, the next deadline, the next something that promises satisfaction but never truly delivers. But here's the paradox: while the world is moving faster, people are feeling emptier. Anxiety, depression, and stress are at record levels. We live surrounded by entertainment and distractions, yet loneliness and burnout are some of the most common struggles of our generation. And at the center of it all is one simple truth: we've forgotten our minds are running the show, and we become their prisoners. This is where the power of now speaks louder than ever. In Chapter 1, You Are Not Your Mind, Eckhart Tolle delivers a shocking reminder. Most of our suffering doesn't come from life itself, but from being trapped inside our thoughts about life. Think about it. How often are you fully present in what you're doing? When you're eating, do you actually taste the food, or are you already lost in tomorrow's problems? When you're walking outside, do you feel the ground beneath your feet, or is your mind replaying yesterday's regrets? To bring this into perspective, imagine Daniel, an ordinary man in today's world. He wakes up, scrolls through his phone for 40 minutes before getting out of bed, rushes to work with a pit in his stomach, spends his commute replaying arguments from years ago, and arrives at his job already exhausted from battles following in his mind. His body is in the present, but his awareness is everywhere else: yesterday's mistakes, tomorrow's fears, and an endless loop of what-ifs and if-onlys. Daniel is not alone. In fact, he represents millions of people in 2025 who live not in reality, but in mental projections. And this is exactly what Tolle warns us about. The past exists only as memory, the future only as imagination. The now, this very moment, is the only place where life is real. Yet we miss it over and over because we're too busy chasing what's not here. The introduction of the power of now challenges us to step out of this trap. It's not about denying the past or refusing to plan for the future. It's about recognizing that those things don't actually exist right now. What exists is this moment, the breath you're taking, the sound you're hearing, the space around you. And when we anchor ourselves in the now, a quiet clarity begins to replace the noise. This is the doorway we'll walk through in this video. We'll explore what it means to be free from the prison of the mind, how the teachings of Chapter 1 can apply directly to the chaos of 2025, and why discovering presence may be the most radical act of all in a world obsessed with distraction. In Chapter 1 of The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle emphasizes that the greatest obstacle to living fully is not the world outside, but the mind inside. And in 2025, this trap is stronger than ever. Think about the average day of a person today. Their phone alarm wakes them, and before even stepping out of bed, they are already plugged into a stream of information: TikTok videos, Instagram reels, breaking news, messages from work. By the time they get dressed, their mind has already traveled across dozens of places, situations, and emotions, none of them happening in the room where they actually are. This over-identification with thought is exactly what Tolle warns against. The mind has become not just a tool, but a tyrant. It replays past mistakes endlessly, making us feel guilty or ashamed for things long gone. It projects fears of the future, convincing us that disaster is always around the corner. The result? We live in a constant state of mental tension, never at rest, never truly here. Let's take Daniel again, our modern character. At work, he's asked to present in a meeting. Instead of focusing on the present moment, he replays old failures, the time he misspoke in college, the embarrassing silence at a past job interview. His heart races, his palms sweat. None of these events exist anymore. They're ghosts from the past, but his mind brings them to life, as if they were happening right now. This is the prison Tolle describes, believing that our thoughts are who we are. But here's the truth: thoughts are just patterns, conditioned responses. Voice is echoing from memory and imagination. They are not reality. And most importantly, they are not you. In 2025, this message is revolutionary because of how technology amplifies the trap. Social media algorithms feed us constant comparisons. She's more successful than you. He's happier. They're richer. These messages hook the mind, pushing it to chase an illusion of someday I'll be enough. The more we chase, the more distant peace feels. Yet the wisdom of Chapter 1 cuts through this illusion. When we pause and notice, I am not my thoughts, a gap appears. And in that gap, there is freedom. Freedom to experience this moment as it is, without dragging the past or fearing the future. Recognizing this trap is the first step toward liberation. You don't need to fix the entire world or solve every problem in your head. You only need to realize that the voice in your mind is not who you are. That simple awareness begins to dissolve the power it has over you. Recognizing that we are not our minds is only the first step. The real challenge begins when we try to live this truth in the middle of modern life. Because let's face it, in 2025, the distractions are louder, the pressure's heavier, and the pace faster than ever before. Daniel's journey shows us what this looks like in practice. After his conversations with Thomas, the older man who introduced him to these ideas, Daniel began experimenting with presence during his daily routines. At first, it was clumsy. On his morning commute, instead of drowning in worries about work, he tried to notice the details around him, the pattern of raindrops on the bus window, the subtle rhythm of his breath, the quiet hum of the engine. These weren't magical experiences, but they grounded him. For the first time in years, he realized his mind wasn't dragging him 10 steps ahead or 10 years behind. But of course, presence isn't about escaping difficulties. It's about facing them with clarity. At work, Daniel's boss dropped an impossible deadline on his desk. His first reaction was the old pattern: panic, stress, mental loops of failure. But then he remembered Thomas's words, "Your home is the now." He paused. He took one breath. In that pause, the disaster he imagined, the angry emails, the failed project, the ruined career faded away. What was real in that moment? Just him, a desk, a task in front of him. From that space, he started working with calm focus, and solutions he never would have seen in panic began to appear. This is exactly how Chapter 1 of The Power of Now meets the problems of 2025. Instead of letting entertainment, fear, or stress hijack our awareness, presence gives us a way back to sanity. Think about social media for a second. How often do people scroll, not because they want to, but because they can't stop? Hours disappear in endless feeds. The mind compares, judges, and leaves us drained. But imagine pausing in that moment, feeling the phone in your hand, noticing the tension in your eyes, asking, "Am I here right now?" or lost in the machine. That tiny shift breaks the spell. Or consider the epidemic of burnout. Many people in 2025 juggle multiple jobs, side hustles, and family responsibilities, feeling like they're running on a treadmill that never slows down. The mind screams, "Keep going, or you'll fall behind." But if we stop for even 30 seconds, breathe deeply, and reconnect to the now, we discover something radical. The pressure isn't real in this second. Right now, you are breathing. Right now, you are safe. From that space, even heavy responsibilities feel lighter, because you're carrying only the weight of the present, not the imagined future piled on top. Daniel noticed this when his personal life hit turbulence. His partner accused him of being emotionally absent. In the past, he would have defended himself, replayed arguments, and silently blamed her. But this time, he chose presence. Instead of reacting, he listened, really listened. He felt the tone of her voice, saw the emotion in her eyes, and stayed with the moment without mentally escaping. For the first time, she felt heard. Their relationship began to heal, not because he solved everything, but because he was truly there. Tal's lesson is clear. The now is not a concept to think about. It's an experience to live. And in 2025, it's not just helpful, it's essential. Presence is the antidote to overstimulation, the cure for comparison, the medicine for anxiety. It doesn't erase challenges, but it strips away the extra suffering we create when we live everywhere except here. By applying this simple but profound truth, Daniel discovered something extraordinary. The richness of life isn't in the past. He couldn't change, or the future he couldn't control. It was always here, waiting for him, hidden in plain sight. Daniel's story is not about escaping the world or rejecting responsibilities. It is about reclaiming the only treasure we ever really have, the present moment. And in 2025, this treasure is more valuable than ever. Look around. The world is louder, faster, and more demanding. Notifications fight for attention. News cycles never end. Entertainment fills every empty second. Yet, beneath all this noise, life itself waits quietly, here and now. The truth Daniel discovered, echoing the wisdom of the power of now, is that peace does not come when everything outside lines up perfectly. Peace comes when you stop arguing with the moment, When you stop dragging old regrets into today, when you stop living in a future that hasn't arrived, peace is not somewhere else. It is here, waiting for you to notice. And notice doesn't mean pretending life is easy. Presence doesn't erase pain or challenges. Bills still come. Relationships still get messy. The world still throws surprises at us. But when we are anchored in the now, those problems lose their power to consume us. We face them with clarity instead of panic, with wisdom instead of blind reaction. Daniel learned this firsthand. He realized that happiness wasn't in some distant goal. It was in sharing a quiet laugh with a friend, in tasting his coffee instead of scrolling mindlessly, in hearing the wind move through the trees, in truly listening to someone who needed to be heard. These small, ordinary moments, once invisible, became the fabric of a meaningful life. And that is the invitation this book and this chapter extends to all of us. Not tomorrow, not one day, now, because life is never not now. So ask yourself, where are you, really? Are you lost in the noise of your thoughts, in the endless scroll of 2025, in the race for what's next? Or are you here, breathing, alive, awake in this moment? The choice is yours. The doorway is always open. Step into the now and discover the life that's been waiting for you all along.